Hi everyone, happy Friday! Get this video. Happy Friday, welcome to the stream. Welcome to some community game night in Stardew Valley. It's just kind of be a chill stream with us just hanging out and talking with friends and playing some Stardew Valley. The goal tonight of Stardew Valley is landscaping. So I have unlocked for everyone unlimited resources as far as landscaping so that they can design to their heart's desires. So we'll see what they come up with and how beautiful our farm becomes. Everything else is generally still locked down other than they have unlimited money and special tools. So other than that, it's pretty much, yeah, not vanilla, but we keep it kind of equal for everyone who has mods. So it's a fun time and a good time. And yeah, looks like Lemon has joined. I'm sure Rain's right behind her if she's not right there. But let me grab everybody and we'll say hi.
It's a position.
Hi everyone, we're live.
Hey,
Yep.
Hello.
Say hi. So we're here and ready to do some landscaping. Okay, on the farm, once you join, there are some chests and lots of different decor items to landscape with. Uh-oh, Rain is dying.
No, I didn't want to open it that way.
Lots of, oh, you opened it vanilla mode. Good. Now you have to be good. Just kidding.
No.
Oh wait, I need my pizza for Sam.
Did you just say you're a special tool?
No, because she said something about special tools, so it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Yep. So, alright. We're gonna start. Crisis, thank you so much for the 60 months of lookout. Thank you, Crisis. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
No.
Get a mod for me tonight. Ha.
This one.
Thank you for lurking, Crisis, hanging out. And thank you for your ghosts. You're always appreciated. Game time. I love that scream.
Late. Miserable.
Damn.
Alright. I will unfreeze time. Actually, I thought time is ignoring me. It should be frozen and it's not. I guess because the multiplayer decided it's not. So it's already 10:40.
So do we just have free reign, or do we each have sections?
Nope, do whatever you want. Whatever you think makes the farm looks good. If you prefer to start around your house, feel free to do that. But there's nothing that says you have to.
My house.
If you want to start there, you
My
can.
house.
Hi, Randa, welcome. Hi, Shane, welcome. Michigan.
Sorry.
Oh, Kai, here, don't do anything crazy. Yeah, you know we're gonna be doing crazy stuff. Sorry, I'm late. Been watching you. I just started, Crisis. You're not really late. I was late setting everything up. It took me like 40 minutes to set everything up.
How am I gonna dip? Because I just wanted to pop in and say hello.
Yeah, take
Okay.
it.
Alright. Good to see you, Tank.
You guys have fun doing yard work?
Yard work, yeah. Stardew Valley
The
yard
best
work.
kind of.
Oh god,
yard
that was
work.
the dog nose.
Benson does that to me. I'll be sitting here at my desk and he comes up and cold noses the back of my elbow and scares the shit out of me.
Like people. That
Mono.
would be good and bad, I think.
It's my wedding day.
You getting married?
She's getting married.
Sebby?
Where is
Where are you?
bachelor
Do you still
wedding?
got your wedding clothes on?
Yeah, I do. I still have my wedding clothes on. I don't think it's Seb. I don't remember who
Anniversary?
it is.
I have
Sam.
pizzas.
Sam, sorry.
Oh, you married Sam? Okay, I'll
I
give you
brought
my
snacks
pizza.
and drinks, so if you guys want, go get snacks, go get drinks. Hi, Hollow.
Get you later.
Loud! Sorry, I shouted.
Well done.
That's so funny.
I'll catch.
The fact that we're playing so many games, we can't remember who we're trying to
Right.
romance.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I
kind of
don't know
forgot
what the
that
heck
it's my
this
wedding,
thing
and then
is.
I'm like, oh yeah. I'm in
So
my
it's
little
like-
outfit.
This will be fun.
Oh goodness. Oh look.
This
My
will be
mail.
fun.
I ordered too much fertilizer for the garden. That's cool.
I will be back.
Okay.
That's dry.
Have
That's
fun.
fine, Pam. I can get you paleo. Purchasing cube upgrade. It is my wedding today, right?
It
Right?
usually starts right off with it.
Maybe it's
right?
not.
Did you already get married?
No.
No, question mark.
Oh, it's because I didn't have my house expanded. That's right.
Oh, you're gonna expand your house first?
Well, it's expanded now. But now I have to wait for it to rain again.
Oh, okay.
Oh, do we not have a rain totem?
I don't think so. We might though.
Ouch!
I'm just gonna walk around in my wedding outfit.
While you're crying, you're all muddy.
Do your
it's horrible.
gardening.
Yeah.
Crowley.
Yep.
Fine.
This
Come
is
on,
to be
bro.
wedding
Hey,
clothes
you
for days.
rented it. Yeah, you rented it, so
Wait, where are the chests? Are they just in our chest?
They're the chest
No, they're in
right
the-
down here, below the
Oh!
trees. All these.
Okay.
There's all kinds of stuff in there.
Owl!
There's
Sorry,
all
that's-
kinds of goodies you can choose from. There's some random stuff too, so. I want to see what these do. These decorative spikes. I mean, what the hell?
Ooh.
I think you can make a spiky fence. We're just gonna.
Um,
There we go. Yeah, shelter has been called. Yay! I've seen clips of the last movie and some other bits, but I imagine so. These are kind of cool. Not gonna lie, I kind of like them. They look better than our current fences, our iron fences that our animals are blocked into. Okay, I also gave y'all a hidden surprise, which is like a random, I know it's super random, but a JoJo machine because it will keep producing colas for you guys so you can have energy.
Wait, what? Is that the thing that's in front of my house? Cause it's
No,
doesn't
these
exist.
these blue JoJo machines.
Apparently someone put a hedge in front of my house and it's invisible.
I think you're supposed to be able to get this out of here. What are you talking about, Ray? I don't know shop.
Well, it was invisible, so I couldn't even see it.
I think there might be something.
Let me come see what you're talking about.
Oh, it's gone now. I tossed it.
Oh.
I threw it away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was like sitting right here, and I'm like, why can't I move? And all I saw was a little shadow.
I don't know if you're big into reading this or books, but if you are, you need to try the books.
Oh yeah. Did you have iron fence?
Crisis
in there?
reads. Yeah, there's iron
Or
fence
did I
in there.
just grab a single iron fence? I did.
You
I'm
might
an
have
idiot.
grabbed-
That's cool.
Yeah, if you
I
hold
love that.
shift, you can grab like half a stack.
Oh yeah, it's this thing, Mono.
I've done nothing but lay down ground
I
all
don't
day.
see anything.
Literally?
Yeah, look at my screen.
Oh, I don't have it up. Give me a second. Yeah, it's like completely invisible for myself, so like I don't know what it is. It's a hedge and it's going in the trash. I don't know where it came from. I'm finding them all over the place, and I'm literally. You bitch. It was you.
You're just realizing this?
I knew it like a long time ago, and I've been.
I
You know
went to
what?
stream and I go.
Leave me alone.
Never.
I go on stream and I'm like.
I'll have shots of
When I'm-
vodka, and I'm
I'm
fine.
placing them down. Top secret little.
No, the way she said it, that's what I knew. Wow, really?
Oh?
No.
Just the way you said it, I knew.
You know what? Fuck you.
It's all out of love.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. Oh, shit, I need
Remus.
to-
Excuse you.
That's what my cat does all the time.
No, get off me! Crazy things.
I definitely forgot this is a monster farm.
Yeah. You know.
So yeah, there you go. I also added a troll bit to tonight. So yeah. Now, how are you supposed to get drinks out of these JoJo machines?
Do you not have enough quarters?
Are you supposed to put quarters in?
I don't know.
Maybe they just pop up at the top like everything else, and it takes like 24 hours to process a drink or something.
Oh, I love the little clothesline. Where'd that come from?
Special place. I actually don't remember, to be honest. Oh my god. I didn't think this through. I trapped myself.
Don't do that. Do you need
Oh, too
breed?
late. No, I got it. It's fine.
Thank you for purchasing a coop upgrade. In addition to doubling your capacity of your coop, I've taken the liberty of installing an incubator. Ooh. I forgot we had animals today. We have animals? Oh yeah. The things that I normally take care of because I decided it's landscaping day or stream instead.
Oh my god, Mono! You and your fucking invisible hedges.
Hey, read the face. Listen.
I have to get the hedge clippers out. Oh no, it's 12:40. Run.
Alright, now I just need it to rain.
No.
Okay, Lady Rain.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
No, the kitty's in my
I
bed.
saw those and I was like, what the heck? And I saw some other things that I didn't want to see, so I didn't grab those.
I didn't want to
Why
see
is my
it.
phone ringing at midnight? Who's
Yeah, I
calling
know.
me? In my
Sorry.
Stardew house.
I have a
Please
deal
tell
for
me
you.
my weather worked. Oh, there I am! Okay, we're good, we're good!
Yay! Damn,
Raina's
you
getting
got on him
married.
fast, girl.
Damn, that was quick.
Summer year one.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start on Seb so we can go on double dates.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get back to working on Elliot.
Oh, I've never tried Elliot.
I feel bad
Oh,
for
yeah.
Emily because I'm not playing.
It's
Yeah.
okay. She has Clint.
I've started
Yeah.
trying him multiple times, but I've never finished.
You know, I might join this. to
Elliot
make
seems
sure
like that
Emily-
kind of guy, if we're being honest. If
He's
you know,
too
if
stuck
you've
out
been
for
friends.
me. He enjoys being independent on the beach. He doesn't want anybody.
I'm fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he's writing his
Definitely doesn't let you finish.
stuff and
Wow.
playing music.
Unbelievable.
Not
I'm the only
personally.
guy here, so I have to
He's
like.
selfish, so yeah.
At least it's not as bad as Alex.
You may kiss.
Alex would not only not let you finish, it'd be done in like 5 seconds.
Hold on. As a guy here, I have to like support the man.
Yeah, where did Wiggles go? He was here.
He wiggled out.
It's
No,
been
no,
so
he
Wiggle,
brilliant.
wiggle.
He did this.
It's going to be
Oh,
different
yeah.
from now on.
No,
But the future
No,
looks
he's-
bright.
he's in other places.
Oh, my friend got married.
Oh, he's in the other server.
Yeah,
On a second server.
yeah, the alt channel. Yeah.
The alt channel. That's what it is.
Alex,
It produces
he's
one
outside
cola
my
a day.
house. Yay.
So if you choose to put down a JoJo machine, it'll
Alright,
put
now I can switch into my triplet outfit.
cola a day.
Who the fuck is calling me? Oh my
Exactly.
God.
They were calling me while I was in bed
Aw.
waiting for the day to end.
It's Vincent. It's my little brother-in-law. It's okay.
Aww.
He asked if we had any piggies.
Oh.
I know, he's just so sweet. Alright.
Okay, what kind of walk was that? Stone floor that I used before? What is that? It is stone floor. Okay.
There we go. I have a mannequin in my house, and now it's
Oh,
gonna
that's
hold my
creepy.
wedding dress.
Oh, that's nice. It makes it less creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Alright, I'm gonna move this thing. Just so I
Well,
can
at
put
least
down.
having a soda machine is nice, cause
What if we do like a Japanese
it's really
style
good,
like
isn't it?
area with like lined up soda machines for everyone or vending machines, you know? There's like I'm gonna put them next to the treasure chest. The thing we just got like a whole thing of vending machines here next to our rubbish bins.
Mono,
Uh-huh.
come here. Look at this. If you hover, I have this guy, right? I pick it up, put it over a thing, and it changes the thing.
That's how you harvest the eggs and feed and pet the chickens in the coop now too. It's like you just like run.
But like, you can change your plants.
I don't know. I haven't tried that though.
Oh wait, you could just right click it. The fuck? Who allowed that?
Oh, I love your sunflowers and blue flowers.
Oh, it's a weird thing.
That's a beautiful dog.
Sean's
this
trying to
one,
get
though.
me to get a second dog.
Hello.
Oh.
I agree
Thanks.
with
So pretty.
Sean. I agree with Sean on this one.
Joe says
You
he
got
doesn't
two
agree.
cats.
He doesn't think we have space.
Well, what
No,
if
we
it
don't
doesn't
worry
get
about
along with the
space.
cats? What if it doesn't get along with the cats?
Mona says, what if she doesn't get along with the cats?
We'll get it and then we'll understand it. Let's get
Just like Cleo.
I
Arf.
can't handle.
literally-
I can't
No, no,
handle two
That
Cleo.
dog just said yes. That dog literally just said yes.
She's not potty trained yet,
No.
I'm not party trained either, so let's go.
but
We
she
know.
is crate trained.
Honey, we do not have room.
I will take care of it. Mom.
What about the vet bills? That's what I always
What-
think about.
Mona says, what about the vet bills?
It's so hard not to say
But
yes,
Mom, I'll take care
I
of it.
know. We cannot get another puppy right now.
Yes,
You're
no.
gone all day. I'm gone all day. I'm not asking
though. That's,
Hey,
that's
hey.
true.
for a puppy.
No. I'm looking through your window all the time,
Um,
and I want to
Dalton
know.
won't even let me have a kitten. I think it's rude.
So you want the dog then?
No, I want a kitten.
Yes, I do.
I want a
Very
dog.
different.
Yeah, drive down here and bring me the dog. I need a dog.
Mona says to drive down there and bring her the dog.
I'm not gonna torture that animal being in the car for
I'm probably gonna throw up the whole time too. Poor thing.
So
Yeah.
you won't torture
dog.
that dog, but you'll torture Cleo for 12 hours and back on the way to your parents' house? So was she!
Well, that marriage lasts long. Okay.
Hold on.
I'm leaving with
Oh
this dog.
no, he got muted.
Oh no.
No, you can
Things
tell
are
by
get-
her face.
It's getting hot in here.
Whoa. No, it's more like Thor the cat.
I don't own that ball. Okay, can I buy them?
Anyways, Rose, I agree with him. You need another one. Because one dog army is not cool enough.
I'm so
An
close
army is
to deciding that I want a pet, but I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do.
I'm gonna get my cat a dog so she can walk it.
I'll cook them.
Anyways,
Saying
how do I
no
want
to
to different
animals is
answer?
the worst thing ever.
It
I
is.
love animals too much, so
I know.
get
Like,
them all.
one of my
They
DMs
all need
friends
loving homes, and it's really
has
hard.
little baby kittens because she's got mamas that hang out on her property. She's got a cute little
Everything
white
needs love.
tabby,
Not tomorrow.
like fluffy baby, and it's gonna be so fluffy.
Anyways,
I want
Sean,
the fluffy one, but Dawn won't let me have it.
anyways, can you tell Thor that I'm gonna be outside your house saying more the better? Like more.
Hold on, he's saying something to me again. Hold on.
Wow.
Hey, get your claws out.
I'll do the dishes, I promise.
Okay.
Like, I want all
Train
Train
animals to
passing
have
through.
them.
You guys want goodies?
It's a Twain.
I hate that.
Sir, can you
Thoughts.
not sniff my foot? That's weird.
I'm literally gonna message Thor. I got his back.
Don't start an argument between them.
They're
You're
not
gonna be
arguing.
responsible.
They're not
You're gonna be
arguing. I can
responsible.
tell by Rose's face.
I'm gonna
Or-
blame you.
No, we're not arguing. He's trying to
Oh,
convince me,
please.
and I'm trying to hold my ground.
Like I can tell an argument versus a not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, my face gets real easy to read.
Sorry.
You- Let's see. Actually, yeah.
Like I said, Thor will do the dishes
Oh yeah.
for 1 week.
Be every goddamn day for the rest of our lives if we're
Anyways, I will do your dishes for 1 month.
live-in maid.
What?
All animals need love.
I
I'm
know.
gonna use that soft, like what's it called that soft thing.
Sarah McLaughlin.
Yes.
Oh, the ASPCA. Oh, look at us twins. Hey.
In your crab outfits.
No, we were both carrying the same plan at the same time.
Oh.
Well, anyways, I'm Thor's agent, and you have to talk to me before you can talk to him.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
That checks out.
definitely how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Bro club.
He said he wants 10K plus a puppy. Hey,
I don't know where we're
this
getting
is-
$10,000 from. It
Hey,
ain't gonna be my job.
He's like, you're fired. What?
You have. Yeah, no, yeah. You have that, you can hire the person to come walk the dog while you're not home.
That'd be funny. You're fired. What? Alright. I'll do the
There's so much-
dishes for a year.
There's so much real estate. I don't even know where to start.
Just do something, and you can change it, or somebody else can change it. I don't care. If somebody's like, hey, I want to mark this through here. I don't care. Y'all can shift stuff
Oh, shit.
around. It's trying to murder us. Okay. There's a good Jenny. Thank you. Drink water. Cheers. Hi, Matthew. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to landscaping in Stardew. Trying to see what kind of trouble we can start here.
And for $9.99, you get landscaping. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
It's
Better.
advertisement.
I still think I'm like invincible, and I keep
I
just
am.
ignoring the critters beating the crap out of me, and you know, I shouldn't be.
I'm not judging.
How far before it changes and I have to go on? Okay, right there. I don't know. I'm gonna put that back. Oh. Yeah, I know what I'm doing here. Making awkward patterns that aren't really
I'm
patterns.
stealing your horse.
Go for it.
Going for a midnight ride.
Do it. Got one of those. And what other plant stack do I want? Those are cool. And what is over here that we can decorate with? Oh my god, so many different types of plants. That guy. What the heck does the rustic plank do? Is that floor or is that not floor? Or is it outdoor?
What is it?
It is outdoor. Rustic planks you can use outdoors.
Oh.
It's like wooden outdoor stuff. I don't know. Wooden outdoor stuff.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh,
scream into the
Yay!
microphone.
Good show, Rev. Good thing none of them are carnivorous. Spray. Let's see. Yes.
Alright, baby.
Big me. Alright. Look at that muscle. It's tiny. It's there somewhere.
No, that's
Midnight, by
huge.
the way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. What did you say,
I'm
Ray?
jealous.
Midnight.
Oh yeah. She's gonna run to bed. Crap.
She went to the gym before midnight.
Run. Go to sleep.
I'm running back.
Don't laugh at me.
I'm jealous
Matthew.
of those guns. I am. One day I will grow up and get guns.
One day you'll have muscles this big, is that it?
Mhm.
Gosh, I'm clicking on buttons I shouldn't be clicking on. That's gonna be a thing tonight. Somebody's not gonna make it to bed.
My mama said I was pretty strong.
Oh my god. So I sent that same video that I sent you guys earlier of Monty when I took him out.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff said that we need to dress him up as a snake and call him Monty Python for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Except it's not gonna happen because he's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we all got one.
Let's see. Can I click on this? No.
Okay.
Okay, so that's not the one I need. I'm trying to find the starting thing so I can fix my screen.
Why?
There it is. No, that's the other game. So what was the other one? Oh, display capture's on. Dang it, that could have been bad.
You having problems over there?
Yeah. I could have flashed you guys on stream.
Oh.
Well, damn, I should
I
have been
took
looking
a
at my
video
phone.
for the kittens for
You're
leaving.
really good.
Aw, hi Dusty! I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a
Damn.
little intimidated. Oh.
Nobody can see you.
Kick your booty. Meow. Yeah, no, I'm not kicking anybody's butt anytime soon.
Nah, I'm scared.
Okay, why can't I move this on the stream? I'm trying to
Sam's
fix
just
the
standing in
thing.
the fucking doorway.
And I'm
Husband
getting
already.
frustrated because I can't
Rose,
fix the
I
thing.
bet you love that view of you. Yeah, I love you. Like,
Oh
I'm-
yeah, totally. It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
It is that one. Okay.
What are you doing?
There. Now I'm
think-
fixing this thing so it doesn't look weird.
You have cat hair so much above my nose.
Professional
this is not
trimmer hair.
dog hair. That'd be weird.
I think Cleo would try and get my lap like that if she could.
Did you post the video in Discord?
What?
Of the kitten.
Oh.
Matthew sent a video of kittens.
Kittens.
Ooh, the
The little
kittens.
babies that I named.
Oh. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it.
Clearly. I
I'm
have
here
no
for
idea
it.
what you're doing either, but I hear you.
It looks like you're making a park.
It sounds like a drum block.
See, thank you for the 25 biddies and thank you for the lurk. No, I'm landscaping. Of sorts. And then I think these things are coming up. These old stone pathways.
Wrong. Read this.
No! Not the wood one.
Well, the nice thing is I don't need my signs for my trees anymore.
So should I put... Oh, geez. Should I make that all wood everywhere and just have the trees growing out of the wood? Or should I make it like the colored stone pathway?
I mean, I'm very partial to the colored stone.
I love those colored stones. Yeah.
Let's do it.
These things are gorgeous.
I'll help.
I love that you guys are using the colored stone because that's exactly what I used over in my little area.
Is it? Nice. I love it. I wish it was darker like it looks like in the picture before you lay it down.
Yeah.
I wish it was that shade. And then I'll probably have to move my fence to make this look right. And then put it back down. And I don't know, should I take the wood completely and just do the whole thing stone? And then...
That's up to you.
I think if, you could leave. I kind of like the wood, honestly.
Okay,
Now that I'm
well
looking
then
at
we'll
it.
leave it and put like plants or something else and do something else on that area, like that wood platform area. No, I don't need to offer it to
Oh,
live in.
sorry.
I was trying to offer you stone, apparently.
Oh, thanks. It's so thoughtful.
I hate that I'm destroying my fence. Poke catch Ultra Ball, catch it. It's such a cool Pokemon. I need it. I need it. Do I have it? Is it gonna tell me? No, it won't tell me today. No such luck. Okay. Oh, I don't need it. No, no. Oh, I took it down so that I could put the stone down first, and then I immediately started putting the other stuff down again. Oh, brain, come on. Gonna blame the drink? No, I'm just kidding. 'Cause I had it. Oh, hi, I'm trying to give you things again. There's a thing. Oh, that's cool. You put in the spots where I missed. I was gonna fix those.
Doesn't it look cool though?
It does. Can we space them evenly? Like, move these guys
yeah,
down
hold
one
on.
more?
Yeah.
And
Oops. Ah!
it's okay. I got more of that wood. I can fix that.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll just put the ones that I.
There. Yeah.
Do you want to fill in your spots?
I'm trying, but I think the stone is being difficult. Let's see.
Oh, here.
We're just gonna chop it all up so I get it right. There we go. Now we can put down the cute little plants. I like it. Now we need, like, you know, yoga mats or something out there, right?
Right?
We're doing black cat ears? Alright, Rando, you got it. Black cat ears it is. Let's see. And
Terrible.
I have two different ones. I have this
There's
pair
the cat.
and
There's the cat.
watch the spiky ones. And I have this one or this one. Which one? You tell me. Spiky or fuzzy and sparkly?
Spiky, obviously.
Rainbow's spiky. We'll see.
I love how no one's paid attention to any of these animals.
Oh
Nope.
no! I'm coming, guys.
I haven't. I was kind of wondering how bad the situation would look, and I wanted to see it. I thought it would be, like, cool. When you go in there and you can't even walk because there's 500 eggs. Fuzzy and sparkly.
Yeah,
I got you.
it's a little difficult for sure.
There you go. I'm sure you'll get it all cleaned up and beautiful. I popcorn. I have a few pieces. Oh, you can't even see it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have a few pieces left. I have popcorn, and I have this Truly Berry Blast, and it's truly unruly. It's like 8% alcohol. So I'm trying to sip it, and that's why I have popcorn too, because I don't want to eat nothing.
Well, popcorn's not. Yeah, sorry. Popcorn's good and all, but you want to eat a whole hamburger first. No, just kidding.
I don't have a hamburger.
Why not? No, just kidding.
No. Speaking of popcorn, have you ever tried kettle corn? I love kettle corn so much.
I got the air fryer, and you know,
If I go to a
roll
festival, I usually get kettle corn at a festival, like where they're actually cooking it
I
in
love
the
popcorn.
kettles on site. I love that so much.
I eat popcorn every day.
Do you?
My current.
But it was the air fryer, so I don't have the butter, fake butter, and all that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The air popper.
Yeah, air fryer. Yeah,
No.
that's what I call it. Anyway, sorry.
No. What's wrong, Ray? What did you pick up? Oh, is she muted?
No,
No.
she's just
No.
very disappointed.
She's disappointed in me.
Throwing away your invisible hedges.
Invisible hedge.
Oh my god.
Who knows how many exist?
999.
Oh my god.
This looks so pretty, Lemon.
Hey,
Love it.
thanks.
Let's see what Raina's done. Mhm. Oh, you made yourself a little garden around and a fence around the pond. I love it.
I
Looking
need to
good.
get some
And you
seeds
got your
so I
owl.
can make myself a garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is like a nice
Speaking
little
of-
place.
Oh, what about caramel covered popcorn? Have you ever tried that? I do like caramel covered popcorn. The white cheddar is so good too. Thank you so much, Wiggles, for gifting 6 subs to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Much appreciated. We're like 9,999. Yeah. Well, I mean, 983 left to be exact. Okay. I wish Momo was here. I wish Momo was here.
No,
This looks
No,
so
she's-
good.
having fun.
I know she is. And she just.
I was in a chest and forgot that the bats can get me in this game while I'm in the chest, so.
Oh.
Did you die?
I'm going to... No, not yet, but I'll go to bed.
You're like, oh no. Okay, so there's different kinds of lampposts versus torches and stuff too. So alright, you evil doers need to leave me alone. Okay, so there's that kind of lamppost. Wooden lamppost. Iron lamppost is obviously better. Tall torch. What does that look like?
It's not a short one.
And then we have signs and vending machines.
Oh, I see. So the cola thing spawns once a day.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll go give it to my husband. I am
I think
slowly
that's-
but surely
that's-
throwing out your hedges as you place them.
Don't! You gotta leave them for booby traps for others. Don't throw them all away. Just the ones that are in your way.
Always in my way. They keep getting in my way.
Just the ones in your way. I want others to be tortured as well by my devious antics.
Welcome back, Wiggles.
Hey,
Yes, who's back?
Welcome
Oh,
back
shit.
with us!
Again.
again.
So
Wiggles
weird
back.
to see Dark in
Oh
your
no, I'm
background.
gonna pass out.
Ooh.
Oh, I made it.
Oh, I
Barely.
did too.
Right. I read it
You
too.
said that, like, oh yeah, I gotta go to bed, and then yeah, no, I passed out inside though.
You didn't make
Close
it.
enough.
Yeah, I barely made it.
Well, anyways, cheers, everybody.
9,999.
Here,
Cheers.
here. Here. I'm here for the beers.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
You know what? Wiggles, I think you and Dalton have the same exact computer.
My what?
Computer.
Computer?
Gonna move the camera.
I did buy it as a preview.
Ooh, that's good. That was a joke.
No,
It's pretty fucking similar though.
it's not.
But it's similar.
It
No, they
lights
both
up.
have lights. They both have lights.
Yeah.
No. I
Uh,
hate it. We were just talking about this. I hate it. I don't like it on my desk. Like,
Oh.
so okay. I typically look at people that like have their computers on their desk as like a flex. Like, look at me. I have this big nice computer. I
And look
hate
at
it.
me, I'm
I
strong.
fucking hate it. Like, I'm not trying to like show. I want it to be like hidden, but the issue is,
Oh.
The fan's going. Yeah,
like,
the
how,
fan.
if I put it on the side, like, all you gonna see is the back of
Hmm.
like the wires and shit.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
looks kind of better. Here, maybe like.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Either or.
Like,
Who's winning?
Who's winning? I don't think there's a competition.
there's not. We're just trying to like landscape as much of everything as we can.
Never.
Make it look cool.
Let's keep to my life. Joking.
And then
Garden.
getting rid of stuff.
I used to work 16 hours a day.
And then I
It's-
have an idea. Aw, thank you. I want to do. I saw some green hedgy things in here. I can find them. These things. I may not have enough. I might have to get some more, but. There.
Fucking Friday, everybody.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be home.
Oh, I can imagine after
I
traveling. There's
can't
no
wait
place
to
like home.
sleep in my bed.
Well, you get your
Pretty excited
dog
about that.
and all that. Yeah.
Hey, Tex.
Hey, Tex.
Hey yo. Trying to see.
I don't know
Not
who Texas
really
is.
what I need, but I don't even know how I got the books before. That makes no sense. Model planes? Why the heck did I grab model planes?
Cause they're shelves and they probably look cool.
Yeah. I grabbed them
Just
somehow when I was
got
grabbing
bored and wanted to
plants.
Go get
Yeah,
into
every now and then I
Barbie
look in
and
the
love 'em.
chest and I see something and I was like, yeah, that shouldn't be a thing. And I get rid of it. I was like, I don't know why I picked that. I did put infinite coffee in there for those that want to run faster and don't have mods.
Where's
Sorry,
this
my life.
infinite coffee?
It's in the one of these chests. It's in the first chest. There's 999 copies if you want to run
Yeah, you
faster.
just reminded me I
Hell
could move
yeah.
I
faster.
got 99 chests, but Stardew isn't one. That was bad. So
See
I'm
what
gonna jump out
there.
the window.
Please don't do that. We're all judging you a
Yes.
little bit, but not that much.
Yeah. No, we're not that hard.
Weekend,
Oh.
summer 20th and 21st.
Fuck that
Guild
I
shit.
had
Any
99
personal items
windows,
found
now I
near
have
the site
98.
will be sent to the lost and found. Hell yeah, we're gonna have fishing shit. 2
Fish and
days.
shit.
Yeah.
Is
Fish
that
and
like fish and
chips.
Yeah.
It sounded like you said fish and
I
chips.
want fish and chips too.
Except it's
Totally.
fish and
Chippy.
shit.
You need mushy peas and fish and chips.
Mm.
I wish there were like hedges without pots.
Oh, fishy. Yeah.
Okay. I want to make a hedge fence.
That would be cool. So far, the only thing I've found is without pots is the invisible hedges.
I'm not putting those around my house.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
fan. Sorry, I'll be right back.
I'm cutting down this random pepper plant. I hope nobody gets mad at me.
Probably
I
not.
cut
It's
down
like
all of my plants.
One random pepper plant in the middle of nothing.
You do
I have
you.
any blueberries
I
hidden
don't think
somewhere?
anybody's gonna be offended.
Yeah, you do you.
You want to cut it down, because Samara will be there. I don't know.
Yep. Something like that.
Sorry.
Oh, this is stupid, Rose. You know better than this. Jeez Louise.
Rose, just got that now.
I was about to say you're stupid as like a insult to you, but you literally just insulted yourself.
I did. I did.
Ah.
Oh,
You confused the
Do
brain. You
it.
can't do that.
I'm good at that.
Oh.
One thing I do is read books.
Then
It's probably how you managed to get Sean.
Confused his brain?
Yeah.
Probably. Hey, honey. Did we get together because I just confused you
Mm-mm.
and just scrambled your brain? He's confused.
So that's
you,
a
yes.
So that's a yes.
you can tell him he's not the only one.
Tech says you're not the only one that's confused.
I came here to get drunk, not confused.
Well,
I'm chopping
those
kind of
down
happen
our like
sometimes.
huge line
No.
of trees.
No, I'm always perfect. I'm always perfect, so I don't.
Oh,
Don't worry,
it's bigger-
I'll
bigger
do a
bulb.
different thing. I'm planning on doing
Okay.
something different.
They were just so pretty.
I know.
Oh, I love your arrangement of your machine.
Thank
I
you.
love that. The preserves even have designs now.
The game reminds me of Zelda.
Let's see.
Oh, right. I have good equipment.
My 13-pound dog is currently trying to have a wrestling 40-pound, 45-pound.
Oh,
I
And it
curl
sounds like
65,
two grown
so
men
it's
wrestling.
yeah. Why did I say that? Yes.
What are you carrying on your head right
torches. Torches that I'm putting
No, she's
down.
in a cult. Yeah, she's in a cult.
Yeah, apparently.
Are you judging? Sensing judgment?
I mean, Stardew's kind of a cult.
Well, they didn't invite me to the
Yeah. I really want to catch that one streamer you guys send me videos of on TikTok all the time. But he
Right?
streams
I
while I'm
love
at
it.
work.
know.
He streams
It's
while
like
I'm at
I've
work.
never played.
I mean,
I
not
think
gonna
it's
lie,
hilarious.
he's kind of
grown
cute.
No crops. He's grown no crops. All he's doing is making a mayonnaise
Ducks!
empire, and I
He
think
just
it's
has
hilarious.
ducks. Nothing but ducks.
Oh my
I
god.
know, it's funny.
So I haven't
he's
gotten that
Joja.
far.
He's Joja Core.
Yeah, Joja Core and ducks, because he didn't know. The people hate him.
It's so funny.
I
no
love it.
clue about that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I
Sorry
think
for
I
the
went
spoilers.
through one day and watched
No,
like
that's
10 of them.
okay.
I'm gonna go and check on Becky because
Okay.
she's been outside for ages.
Oh, yeah, go
Yeah,
check
yeah,
on
I
her.
hope she didn't fall down.
Probably
the
stuck
hill.
on the phone.
The phone
she'll
line,
be-
maybe.
Or you smell funny. There's possible.
Or got on
Not
infinite
funny.
scroll mode on, you know.
Gosh, Wiggles, you don't have to call me out like that.
Smell funny.
Rude.
Let's see.
automatically light up at night, and I don't have to turn them on.
That's a lot of
The
light.
light
though.
posts?
Pretty sure
Yeah,
somebody
the
just got
torches.
suplex in my kitchen.
Oh no, that sounds painful.
You fucking bat.
I
Your
hope they
wife,
didn't
like,
fall on their butt.
Wrestling the wrestling the dog.
Hamlet, he's 15 pounds. He's a Chihuahua Min Pin Mick.
Oh, yeah,
that's
he's
nothing,
a fucking
yeah.
Rottweiler. Benson,
He's
he
a little
thinks
bigger. Yeah.
he's
He is
bigger,
bigger,
but he got
yeah.
to know Hamlet when he was little, and they were the same size. So Ben, playing with Hamlet, thinks that
They're the
a
same
15-pound
size.
dog.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. No.
What is that?
Sure.
Stab it.
Catch it. You might get rabies.
Rabies.
Yeah. You're trying to catch a rabid.
Oh no, can you spawn me a shit ton of mahogany seeds?
Yeah.
No.
Can you
When's
just
the
hide?
right?
spawn me a shit ton of like some sort of flower seeds?
Can you? Can you give me $1 million?
Which one is it? Tree? Or just I'll go under seeds? Which one's the mahogany? There it is, mahogany.
Yeah, I just want
And then what kind of flowers do you want? Do you want like the little blue poppy things, or do you want like?
Well, I have sunflowers on the other side, so maybe
You want
sunflowers.
sunflowers?
Because those,
Okay.
yeah, because those will spawn more seeds too,
Sunflowers.
and will last through fall.
Do you want them already in the pot or no?
No, I made like 2 little symmetrical things for my
Okay.
plot of land here.
Sunflower seeds. Okay. And then anybody else see
Aw.
anything else?
Cute.
Right? It's just these damn ancient fruits that are like right in the middle of everything, but I don't want
How
to get rid
rude.
of them because
Right,
it's
because they're ancient fruit.
Eating ancient fruits. Okay,
Oh,
so
yes,
where's the chest? Chest right
Oh, I
here.
have
I'm
one
gonna
right
drop
here.
Okay, I'll just.
mahogany and sunflowers are going in there.
All right, Rain, you go first.
So like my mahogany. There we go.
Hungry.
Oh, damn. You really spawned me some sunflower seeds.
I mean,
Can never
I
have too
did.
many.
then
I'm just gonna have a whole fucking sunflower farm.
do it. I think I'm going the potted plant route because I don't want to deal with them.
That's probably smarter now that I think about it, but it is what it is.
No, it's fine.
Especially because I don't have sprinklers out here. But, oh well.
Oh, you know, sprinklers could be landscaping if we really want to.
Yeah, they're just such an eyesore. I'd rather just take,
Okay.
because I have the
Okay.
already
You're right.
water can, so like, it ain't that deep. There we go. That looks beautiful.
That's so cute. You got it so even and matched to both sides.
Yeah.
It looks good. The farm looks 100 times better already.
There we go.
We should all become landscapers.
Legit. Here.
We could
How about
totally
your
do this
trees
in real
now?
life.
So I did just one type of tree. I did the mahogany tree. So this one's not a mahogany tree. This is stupid
Damn.
bullshit.
No! Get off me, critters! Go away, go away.
Damn it.
Oh shit, it's 1 a.m.
You know what that means?
Time for bed.
Time for bed.
Alright, I'm crawling
No,
into
this
your...
is when the parties just get started.
Yeah, we're like boom, boom,
Oh,
boom.
hey! Come on in. You don't want to sleep
It's
with
a
Sam
drink
tonight?
break.
Who's got
We're the
drugs?
closest.
Yeah.
You got to fit
Yo.
the vodka. Let's go.
I'm
It
out of
gets in the way when I'm trying to leave
popcorn.
the house.
The girls went to bed. Woo! I'm just kidding. Sorry.
It's empty.
Just come
I
crawling
think it's a
out of the notebook.
popcorn and a drink break. I gotta grab more popcorn and another drink because this one's almost gone.
How
I'm
dare
gonna be
you.
lame and go to actual bed because we gotta be up kind of early tomorrow. So
No!
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna use
It's
your
I know I
not-
wouldn't
it's
be able
not-
to be on too
it's
late.
not.
tonight.
Lame. I'm gonna
Okay.
text Thor right
Missed
now.
you.
Have a good night.
Have fun tomorrow.
Good night, guys.
Take care, though. Take care.
Alright.
Always a pleasure.
Bye.
Everybody got
Never say
bigger.
later.
That's what
Just pal.
she said.
Thanks.
I knew what I said when I said it.
Oh, no.
I know.
I haven't been to gym.
Yeah, okay.
Don't
No,
make
no,
me
no,
get.
no.
Don't make me get.
Oh, I need
Fun.
to turn my
You
hotspot
doing good,
off.
Rain?
Huh?
Doing good?
Yeah, I'm okay.
And
Thank you. Hi. I love you too, baby. Yes, hi. Well, come here. I'll give you sketches. You were petting me. You don't want me to pet
it
you?
looks like you're playing an invisible violin.
That's what he
And
does.
I'm not gonna say what that looks like.
What?
Not gonna say
What
what
is
that
she
looks
saying? I'm doing it.
What? No. Puddles reaches up and like taps my shoulder.
Yeah, yeah, I
Oh,
know,
that's cute. Love
Yeah,
me.
it's because he wants
Give me
attention.
but when you were talking
I'll
about
give
how
him
we're doing it,
attention. I love animals.
Hi. See him? I don't know if you
No,
can
man.
tell. It's right there.
I see the ears. Yep.
Yeah, he literally just reaches up because he wants attention.
it's literally, you know what I mean? Way past. What's up?
I have popcorn and another drink. This one is
No.
strawberry splash.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Finish the berry with it.
Chug, chug. Even though it's not chug, it's more of a sip, sip, sip.
Shotgun,
Yeah.
shotgun.
Yeah, there's a little bit more in here than I
Shotgun.
thought.
Shotgun.
So what is it gonna take for one of the shotgun and Julian?
Tomorrow's on the ground.
See, they're only 180 calories and 4 grams of sugar, so
Yeah, it's more about how drunk you get, not about how counting every little.
it's like a seltzer, but to me they're way better than the White Claws, unless the White Claws have gotten better. White Claws are just like, I don't know. I don't think they're flavorful enough.
Right? Well, I don't
I
need
know.
flavor. Yeah. Well, I tried flavor. I have
Oh, that's what it
still
is.
half of this
Harvest.
left.
That's what she drinks.
I'm multitasking.
Strawberry.
Cat food on you, yeah.
Ah.
This does taste a lot better when I've had a couple. Because this in the beginning did not taste good.
Oh. Oh,
If I can find the buttons I'm pushing.
over. Oh. Insane.
Oh, get it.
Baby.
He is fucking boy.
No, it's
Fuzzy
called, that's
baby.
called a mountain lion, actually. But
Wow. Magnificent. Wow.
actually,
Fine.
he just get rid of his lion. But yeah, this one's close enough.
Over.
He's
I see what you did.
What?
Clover, Clover,
See
come
what you
here.
did.
Clover, you're
What did I
taller
do?
than my friend. You're taller than
Oh,
Joe.
you know what you did.
Come on, Clover. yeah. You're taller than Joe. Imagine that.
Bitch, I definitely did not do that. That was all Rose. Yes. What the fuck?
No, nothing.
Oh, no, yeah.
I would be truly invisible so that you couldn't see them.
I
Right?
was behind you. No,
Hex, I
Satan.
love your cat. There was a pause there.
Go longer again.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I know nothing.
Gonna be funny.
That's more of a bobcat. Yeah, that's a bobcat.
Your main gun. Uh-oh.
Like, get the fuck off.
Oh my god.
You've got clothes.
Yo, Salem just jumped up.
I didn't. I put him up.
Oh no, you should come see what I did.
What did you do?
She's causing trouble.
What did you do?
Destroy the house.
Show me.
Show me. Just show me.
What is this invisible fence here that I can't get around? Yeah.
She can't get out of her house when she comes home.
Yeah. I don't know why they made invisible
Well,
hedges.
If somebody else puts it down, you can't pick it up.
Oh, you can. You just have to like do the thing.
You have to
but
use a
it's in the lighting,
pickaxe.
You can't technically see it.
If you don't have your pickaxe on you, you might be screwed.
Yeah.
Beautiful baby.
My
Michigan,
God,
I
it's
won't. I mean,
magnificent.
Tex, I want your cat.
You want his pussy?
Yes. You do.
Isn't there a song about that?
Oh, Becky, say it again. Say it again. She's enough. She's enough.
Baby?
Tex, I want your pussy.
My God, it's magnificent. Wow.
Tex, I know where you live. I will be there tomorrow.
Beautiful pussy.
No, you guys are so bad.
I believe this is why it's 18 plus.
Yes.
Well,
I hope.
By the
Every-
way, you're gonna see probably a weird follow to your channel. It's going to be my daughter.
Oh, okay.
Aw.
I told her she's not allowed tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we're a little bit OP on Fridays.
That's awesome. Though.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Bad.
I feel like
Yeah, I had one today.
Out with y'all
I had one unusual follow, I think, today. I was like,
Well, I
this.
know
So
Jesus.
I made
And he
it.
said it was okay, so.
I can be good if I need to be.
Me too, and people don't see the other
Not
side of me.
like
I love the mahogany trees. They're beautiful.
I know.
You did a good job, Ray.
I like the fence. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like fence.
Where's my husband at?
I don't know.
He's
I
at the
forgot about the
bar.
guy I was trying to make my husband.
You got about him. It's like, fuck you.
Sounds about right.
I don't know where my
Not at
husband
home.
is.
No.
Dude, fucking dogs are going absolutely bonkers. I don't know what is that.
Well, you was in a hotel by yourself, not some common, all some.
It was pretty funny when I walked into the house. It's the first time that I've been.
Oh, there he is.
Benson's only. Oh, now he's approaching 10 months. It's almost only a year.
First time without you.
Trying to
yeah.
do
First time that I've been gone for like 3 days, and my wife had it actually hit it right on the head. Like when we got him, he imprinted on me so fast. Like he just all he wanted was my attention. 'Cause I held him all the way home from when we got him.
He sees the alpha. That's what happened. Sorry.
But yeah, it was crazy. I haven't. Both for it was new for me and him. He hasn't me gone for a long time, and I haven't gone for that long. Yeah. The unconditional love is amazing.
That's how love should be. But
Me trying to milk the ground over here because I forgot to put the milk pail away.
Milk the ground.
Yeah.
hey, I don't know. You know, first time. I
Yeah,
ever heard
like
that.
watch. I'll milk the barn now. I'll just be like.
That's the first time I ever heard that in my life. Milk the ground.
The ground doesn't have udders, silly.
Apparently, I'm trying to prove it out wrong or something. Oh, I should go. Do we have cheese making machines on this farm? We don't.
Don't think so.
I was
don't
doing
have
laying
cheese.
eggs, silly.
Stuff.
Oh.
We don't have
Oh,
cheese
no, they got some.
devices yet. Okay.
What's up?
I don't. Oh, I hadn't unlocked cheese makers yet.
What's up, Tex?
I don't know what it is.
What are you doing? Okay.
Interesting.
Even better, I was thinking.
No, I think you make him turn insane. Look at him.
Best thing you bloody Mary Poppins.
Maybe Poppins.
I need some grass.
Look at him.
Who are you talking about?
He's gone nuts.
Probably the cat.
The cat is
God.
probably somewhere.
Out to be.
Anyways, I always tell
Okay.
Tex to build a doghouse, so when she kicks him to the doghouse, at least he built it so he can have a TV, internet, all that stuff.
I've done it. It's called my house.
I know,
Called
that's what I'm saying.
Actually, I think you call it the car park, right? Call it the car park, the garage.
And if you get a dog, you and the dog can stay at the doghouse. It's perfect.
I've kind of turned my garage into a man.
Well, in my opinion, every guy needs a man
Definitely a
cave.
couch and a TV in it.
Every man or woman needs their own room, if
Yeah,
possible.
I don't
Yes.
care if it's
So
a
right
female
behind
room,
this
I don't care.
curtain is my
Like them.
wife's she shed.
You guys have these
That
in
is
Man
America.
true,
cave and
though,
she
like-
shed.
And I'm hoping so because it says
Right?
Chicago town. You guys have these in America.
Chicago town. Sorry, I just like how it says Chicago town.
I know.
No, but
not that
you,
brand,
so
but
you
yeah.
don't.
Not that brand. I've never seen that brand before.
I've never seen Chicago
You don't
town.
have them.
In the Midwest, we never seen Chicago
But
town.
but
which
I've
is
seen
weird.
what you're showing there, like different. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, dude, those things are awesome.
That's what they fucking look like.
They're about, dude. They're amazing.
Dude, that looks
They're
awesome.
amazing.
I
Dude, they're
love
amazing.
pepperoni. I love pepperoni, so sorry, that'll be awesome.
Do you
But
have
it's
a?
like a bloody Bakewell tart case.
You have to put them in the oven.
It was very English.
They're amazing.
No, you eat it frozen because that's what. Not scared. Sorry.
Oh.
Sure.
This game intrigues.
If you would like
Why
to, you can take this.
Fucking hell, what did your last slave die of?
What do you mean? I don't like to do that.
So, Mono, what's like the end game? Is there an end game to the game like this? Like what's your ultimate goal on?
Yeah, well, one, everything on Steam is like achievement based, so you want to get every possible achievement, but you do unlock a community center for the community by collecting supplies throughout the game at every level and donating to the community center. You also fulfill the museum with everything that it needs, and that unlocks items for you as well. And there's just areas and equipment that you unlock as you go along. And the biggest thing is unlocking all the stories. Every character has a story, so you can literally marry every character and max out their story. And their stories are very interesting too.
Of course, the proper way to do that is marry one at a one, divorce the
yeah, one at a time.
Another, but
doesn't mean we do that.
Bad.
We're bad.
What are you trying to look at?
Stop being horrible.
You've gone both-eyed.
Stop being
This
horrible.
is just a very relaxing game that gives you lots of leeway to do.
Yeah.
It's a chill game.
So like this, what you're doing right now, is this like just a thing that's happening like the event weekend, or like? So you're saying like unlimited build, like? So what is? How does that? Wow.
Well, I cheat a little bit and I use mods since I've got like 700 hours in, so
Oh, yeah.
I allowed my team to have unlimited items to do modding with. Otherwise, you have to craft and
Yeah,
buy all
yeah.
these
Yeah, yeah.
items.
For community, yeah, no, that's
Mhm.
yeah, the right thing to do.
So I unlocked them all, and like today's theme is landscaping. So we're just doing
Right.
landscaping, and each time I play this game, because it's not 100% vanilla as we call it, I try to do something fun and different each time. So that way, everybody that doesn't have mods still
A
gets
goal,
to
objective.
experience
Yeah.
some kind of
Right.
modded thing and have
Makes it less grindy and
Mm-hmm. And of course, I do have my vanilla save that I'm playing with girls, and that's our other save that we're playing. That's 100% vanilla from scratch again. So we go back between vanilla and not vanilla.
right.
Dude, I wish these would light up. Do I have to light them up, or do they just? I guess they are lit up. They just don't look very lit up.
Do you guys have nighttime?
Do we have what?
Do you have nighttime?
Yeah, this is nighttime. We just got a lot of torches on the farm right now. So if you look as I'm walking toward places, you see like a little shadow like over here in the
Okay,
corner.
yeah.
We've just got a lot of light, and we also have items now called glow rings that you wear, so it's like a walking flashlight with you.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's like super dark at night, and all these creatures come out at night because I told them they were allowed to come to the farm at night, just to give us an extra bit of
Yeah, something to
challenge
do,
and
yeah.
frustration.
Yeah. It seriously, it reminds me of if anybody's ever played like Zelda on Nintendo, or the version of it, that over the top scroller like that. Yeah, almost identical.
Usually people that like Animal Crossing or Harvest Moon usually would like Stardew as well.
And it's a Steam game.
Yeah. It's my favorite game, I think, by far. Huh? You put one in my house? I didn't know you could put hedges in the house. Gonna mess me up trying to go to bed. Put a hedge in my invisible hedge in my house so I couldn't like get in there. But yeah, it's the first PC game I really got into, and I've been playing it for what? How many years has it been streaming now? 6 years.
Wow.
I've been playing this game for 6 years because he does update it and adds new things to it. And he was a single developer for like the longest. Like he started this game himself, like Concerned did. But now he does hire some people to help him with things because his game's so big and popular now. And
Yeah,
he's
because
also
yeah.
when he started trying to expand it to other consoles, that's when he started hiring other people to help him expand it to other consoles.
Yo, when it gets too big, you have to have help. It's just
Right? I keep forgetting to check the TVs. I haven't checked the TVs in forever. Demetrius needs a melon. Do we have any melons? No. On this farm? I doubt it, because we weren't really farming.
They're in Momo's chest.
Okay, so Momo might have a melon.
I know she has a melon.
Yay! She's so good. Look at her.
Well, no. So I had some on my farm, and then
And you
she
just
had
drop
some,
them in
and
there?
I harvested
Mhm.
them, and then
I should probably make a little garden next and actually grow something.
Yeah, we need some blueberries, but I think it's too late.
We only got 8 days left. That's weird. Stuff just falling out of the sky. I blame rain for the pine cones.
Probably. That's fine.
Gotta wait till 9 o'clock. Alright. Where's Elliot? I have not been talking to my future husband at all.
He's on the beach where he lives.
No! So many themes. I don't want to pick them all up. Welcome, Raiders! Welcome to the stream!
Alright.
Thank you so much for that raid, Num. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ice Lightning, welcome! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday afternoon. What did Num play today? Let's see. Let's see. Num, yes. Last seen playing Warframe. You were such a pro at Warframe. Let's see what your description says. The Warframe Whiz and Trackmania Tamer. From leveling up Jade to grinding for that diamond rank, they're all about the high stakes gameplay. With a side of Sea of Thieves and a dash of I have no clue what I'm doing. Their streams are in a mix of skills and silliness. Love it. Clan recruiting, giveaways, and viewer battles. Join the fun. Sounds like an awesome stream. It's a bot you can add to your stream, Num. If you message me later, yeah, you can totally add that bot to your stream, and it customizes and writes it. It goes through and it reads like all your stream titles and what games you've been playing. So the text verbiage is based off your stream titles. It's so cool. It's so cool. So whatever you're putting in your stream titles is what comes out. Oh, there's Elliot. I need to give him some wine. But yes, welcome everyone. Marvelous. Oh, maybe you can talk to him too. Come back, talk. Did you know a duck's feathers make for an excellent quill? He needs a duck feather. I got you, man. I got you. I'm gonna bring you a duck feather. Just saying, when my ducks lose a feather, I will bring you a feather. Grab my
writer.
Great diamond grinding in and out of context way. Okay. I got the games right. Yeah, it's not gonna be 100% right. Welcome, Matthew! Are you lurking and peeking? Oh, that's right. He has a rod for sale. Doesn't he? Willie? I think Willie has a new fishing rod I could buy finally. Oh, and he's not here. Oh, no, there he is. Okay. Just early. Come in, make yourself home. Oh, it's a scene. Ah, that's good stuff there. The fish go crazy for it. Just make sure to wash your hands after dipping them in those juices. Ew. Fish bait. The aroma has been known to linger for up to 7 weeks. No, I'm gonna wear gloves if I'm baiting that hook with that stuff. Yeah. So you've been catching a lot of fish. Let's see.
You're welcome.
Yes. Michigan. Self-love is great. What not is
I'm always
where
kissing
I go
myself,
to lose
huh?
money on sports cars. I was shopping on what night? Yeah, it's addictive, right? You guys are bad. I don't think I've bought anything on there, but I've been on there a few times. I feel like if I buy one thing, then that's all it takes. Then I'll start buying stuff. That's me, old pal used to say at least. Haha, well, keep on going if you can. Catch every fish in these waters. I've got a special prize waiting for you. Every fish. Jeez. I don't think I've ever completed that and done every fish. Community center fell to ruin. Me fish just don't sell like they used to. I've been working double time to make ends meet. Aww. No time for me to meet own projects. But if things pick back up around here, I might have time to show you something. Oh, you know. The island boat. She's back there, an old friend that's seen better days. Yeah, we want to help you fix your boat so we can go to the island. Someday you'll see what I mean. Alright, but he's really not here, so I can't do anything today. That's so dumb. I walk in and the scene works, but I can't actually go buy anything. I got robbed. So how are you doing, Num? I hope you're doing well. I hope life is treating you awesome. Harvey, you're in the way. Gonna come up here. No, we're gonna sell stuff. We're gonna sell. Apparently he buys stuff. And then we're gonna buy stuff. What did we want to see? How long blueberries take? Blueberries take 13 days. Yeah, we don't have time.
Gross.
Tomatoes take 11. We only get like 8 or 7 days, don't we? Melons.
Wait, do we have a garden pot? Can't we get like a little garden pot that we can put inside and put a blueberry in there?
Oh yeah, we'll do that. We got tons of good garden pots. We got 999 garden pots. I wouldn't know why. So I'll buy like, I don't know.
We just need one blueberry.
Yeah, we literally need one each, so.
No, I mean we just need one for the community
Oh,
center.
just one in general? Oh, well somebody asked for, oh, it was the community center that needed one? Demetrius needed the melon, that's right.
Yeah.
Lick? Who are you licking? You licking Num over there?
Yeah, I had to, I had to lick everybody to
Yeah.
make sure they're
Does
safe.
Num taste num 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 num?
No, I'm just, making sure everybody's safe.
I'm
And...
just curious. Does Num taste num num num?
No, it tastes like dough, actually, but
Dough. Mm.
so it wasn't that
Salty. Salty dough. Mm-hmm.
I like everybody that goes into the audience, I guess you call it.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, so where am I? I'm looking for Demetrius, right?
He was at home.
So right there.
Just
Oh, he
touch
just
Emily.
destroyed my stuff. How rude. And I was supposed to give you a melon and you just destroyed my flowers.
Well,
Ugh. You saw that, right? He just walked right through my sunflower decorations and just destroyed them.
maybe there wasn't enough seeds. Oh.
They'll do that. If you put something in their walking path, they just destroy it. I'm like, that's so rude. I don't.
Well, the HOH is.
Yeah, they don't walk around it. They just like walk through it and it gets destroyed. And you're like, no.
The path then isn't great.
You laughing, Matthew, and destroying things.
Well, anyways, cheers, everybody. All the adults.
Mhm.
I don't know why I said it that way, but whatever.
I need an adult.
I need an adult too.
Probably should look at whatchamacallit, unlocking words are hard. Expanding the barns eventually. Seeing what that takes. Yeah, here's the garden pots. Okay. So now I just gotta find a house to put these in. Whose house is this? Prince's house. Sounds like a good spot for this, because he's not here. Prince's house can have blueberries. My house is full. Now, if we remember to go in Prince's house and water them, we'll be doing great. Considering, I think we have to water them every day.
Yeah.
I put this in his chest. Yeah. Oh, he's got teeth. Poppy's in here. Or blue jazz in here. They're so pretty. I love the blue jazz. Okay. Princeton's house has 3 blueberry bushes growing in it. If we remember. Oh, you're getting phone calls. Why can I hear your phone ring? Isn't that weird? Oh, it's my phone. Hello? Why is Vincent calling me? This is Vincent.
Piggies?
Do you have any piggies on your farm?
Yes.
No. Okay, I gotta go. Like, he's sad because
You
I
got
don't
any
have
piggies?
pigs. I don't have any piggies yet. I gotta expand my barn. I'm so sorry, dude.
That's how I always call everybody too. Hey, you got any piggies?
Oh,
And
I did not mean that. Okay. And then order that one. I'll put 1 blueberry bush in my house too. I'll go put 1 in my house too. Welcome back! Oh, it's getting late.
What? You're so worried about piggies the whole time. Yeah, it gets late.
Right? Let's see what Rain's done with her house. Her house is bigger than mine because she's married. I'm gonna go lay in bed with her husband because she's not here.
Whoa.
I needed to go to sleep. He just happened to be in the bed.
This is
Fair, I'm in your
socks.
bed, so.
It's getting controversial in here.
Oh, this is gonna go to
I hope you're
TMZ.
doing good, Nom. It's so good to see you. I need to catch one of your streams sometime again too. Yeah. The Blueberry Fairy visited Ring's house. Welcome back! Blueberry Fairy visited Ring's house and dropped off random blueberry plants.
Thanks.
Oh, Momo's extended her house already too. I'm the one that's behind on this house extending thing. Probably should do that. Let me see how many seeds I got left. I'll just give her 2. The phone is ringing again. Kids these days keep calling my phone. I can't get into Rain.
Have you checked your refrigerator?
I can't get into Rose's house. I wonder why. Ah, devious soul.
You started it.
Yeah. Well, Rain, somebody will water their blueberries, and we will get 1 blueberry for the community center. 'Cause everybody has blueberries down.
Yep.
Just about.
I passed out in it, so.
And I did replace your blockade. Just so you know, it's back. Ah! No, I don't care that. Over here. Oh, we have a purple mushroom. I
Hell
probably need
yeah.
that,
Pretty sure we need it for sure.
right? Let me check. No. Weird. Probably because it scrambled the community center on this version of the gameplay. And we don't need it. So, but I'm still gonna put it in this chest because it's rare. Kitty! Let's see. You know? X turned his camera back on or his light on. Oh, I'm making a mess of things. Nobody look.
Top.
Okay. No, it's the wrong
Where you at?
thing! Dang it, I grabbed the wrong thing.
Where you at?
Did it
I'm gonna
all
leave
work.
again for a minute. I'll be back.
Okay.
Love y'all.
Well, look.
I hear you.
Blueberry! Yay! Did it grow that fast? You are growing a devious soul. Devious soul!
Oh, same way I grew the trees.
Devious soul. What am I gonna do with her, Michigan?
Love me.
Yes, I do. I love you very much. Love all you guys.
Ooh, look at that beard.
And I'm pretty sure I accidentally dug up some of these, so we're gonna plant them back down. Oh no, I accidentally picked it up. Light thingy. What flower do we not have down?
All of them. I don't know actually.
I don't know either. It's kind of spooky. No, I don't want to eat the common mushroom. I want to put it in the chest thingamajiggy.
I need to hype myself back up. Hey, cheers, everybody.
There you go. I've not done much. Look at the holy moly eggs.
You running
I'm
your
good to get
basement?
off. I'll see you
Chickens
later.
have been busy.
Go get
Okay, good night, Tex. Thanks for hanging out.
Tax.
Alright, we did that. I probably should love on everything.
Just a little bit.
Gloves. Everybody needs gloves.
I agree.
They all need the gloves. Those are our baby ducks, by the way. One's name is Goose and one's named Duck Duck.
Other one should be
Wow.
named Ace.
Duck Duck Goose. Let's see. I'll put that down there and I don't even know how that happened. Oh, that's what you're talking about. You right click on different plants and they change to different types.
Yeah, I think it's
Weird.
just that particular item itself.
Just that one plant does it.
Yeah.
Oh crap, I accidentally placed a plant in the wrong spot. There. Okay.
So,
It's a very unique
I-
plant.
Let's see actually.
I don't think anybody lives in this house. It doesn't have a name tag. Healthy.
I got rid of the ancient fruit
Okay.
that was here, but I made sure that I grew a few of
Replace
them
them?
and put
Okay.
them in her chest so we can make seeds later.
Okay.
And I grew her sunflowers for her.
Aww.
Someone had to.
Rain's starting her preserves
Uh,
and dehydrators. What are you dehydrating?
Dehydrators.
you can dehydrate anything. You just need 5 pieces of an item.
So all this area out here, is this where you're gardening?
I plan on it. May not necessarily happen, but I'm hoping it will.
I'm dropping stuff. Popcorn. I saved it and I ate it. It's safe.
I do it all the time.
It was just my lap. It's fine.
I
Okay,
always
the
say when it
stone
hits
does
the
not
ground.
match the stone she has down. She has a unique type of stone down. I didn't get any at that time.
The colorful one?
Whatever Momo is using, it's different.
Oh, it's that like lined stone. I don't remember which one.
Path, there's stepping stones. So the limestone. Apparently I can't type. I'm just gonna type in stone because I'm sure I can just craft it. If I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Stone walkway. Oh crap, what am I throwing away? Sounds good.
Do we have copper bars anywhere?
I'm gonna surprise her and put a couple more down and then maybe just stick it in her chest so she can figure out what she's doing. There. Oh, that's not the right chest though. Which one is it? Would it be this one? Can I open it? Is it locked? Oh, that's a crafting thing? Wait. There we go. Oh, she's already got some in there. She's got 23. Well, now she's at 999 and 23. I know nothing. I don't know how that happened. Bat? Batty Bat, you were going to die because you were driving me nuts. No, not right there. Ta-da! Whoop. Just really like that fencing stuff, and I don't know what to do with it, but I like it. I'm gonna put it behind Rose's flowers and see if she notices. I like the spikes. I'm just a weirdo. Welcome back, Granda! I feel like it just accents everything. Well. I'll have to figure out
I
what
got
we're
a
doing here.
pre-recorded message in a foreign language.
Uh-oh.
You can get a...
Getting late! Oh crap. Time to go to sleep.
I wonder if it was from the dwarf.
Welcome back.
You're blue.
See? Everybody's too quiet.
I know.
Shush,
I'm
shush,
trying
shush.
to.
I love your hat, especially now that you have two, right?
Well, the other one is just in case I
Mm-hmm.
went skydiving and this one fell off.
Hold on, let me see. Hold on. Okay, where's it? It's getting blurry.
It was
We're
fine,
We're
and
gonna
then
get breakfast on Sunday.
hell yeah.
Oh, you're gonna get breakfast? Aww.
Yeah, it's gonna take us to breakfast, which means that we're gonna go to Bob Evans.
Hell yeah.
Mm. I know you love Bob Evans. Bob Evans. It's so
You're making
good.
me jealous.
It's my little piece of home here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they started working on building the Whataburger in town, so that's happening soon too.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
We're getting a Whataburger
I
in my
grill.
town.
I grill them all the time because I'm the griller
No.
here, and it's
No.
just, like
Not
I can
that one.
grill. What? Not
I'm
that
just
one?
grateful I don't have to go 45 minutes away to go get it. And when I finally
Right.
have a craving.
Let's go. One more day at Stardew. One more day. We can do it.
One more day.
How much can we get decorated in one more day?
I don't know.
Up to you guys.
I love being able to put plants everywhere, though. It just makes it so much, I don't know, so cute. Oh, kill it.
Charcoal kills are killing me. I'm having to make coal.
Yeah, because we haven't been to the mines to do any mining. I don't know anything about that. I don't.
Mines.
What are mines? Mm-hmm.
I only installed the cheat that would allow me to be speedy.
Dirty. Prince is gonna come back and not even recognize his area because I keep decorating it. I did nothing. I know nothing. Oh, a dig spot. I got double, but I can't pick it up. I need to go sell some stuff. Sell. Because we know we need money, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's
We're
not enough
broke.
money. I want 3 lemons when I leave, so
Yeah.
that's not enough money.
Not enough money. Yeah, definitely not enough for that. Alright,
Like I said,
organize
I need
myself
3 lemons.
in my life.
I'm leaving.
Okay, I'm gonna put some of this stuff back in those chests because sometimes I did take double stuff.
You bitch.
Thank you.
And there might be like one whole stack of that thing. What did I do now? I don't even
An
know.
invisible hedge in front of my gate.
Why would you?
Oh, that's been there for a while.
I know,
I'm
but I don't
sure.
usually go through that gate.
I'm sure that's been there sometime.
Oh yeah.
Oh, those were pretty. I didn't even use
Forgot it
those.
existed. Thankfully, it's a double gate.
Yeah. And then, what are these used for? Tub of flowers. Flower planted in an oak barrel blooms in spring and summer. I don't know. I'd have to look.
Run.
Ah! Run away! Run very fast.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, and that's good too. Oh, that's so cute. That's a table plant though. And that's a plastic plant. I gotta find my screen. Somehow I'm off my screen. Jay, welcome! Welcome, Jay. Welcome, 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 welcome. You ever sit here playing and then you realize that you can't even see chat? Mhm. It's kind of a problem.
Nope. Because I can see chat.
I can see it. There's a lot of weirdos. Just kidding.
Well, somehow Discord blew itself up to cover up chat.
That's funny.
Okay, let's see who we hug now. What community aids? Brando! Brando gets all the cookies today. Cookies. Add. Brando. Times 3 cookies because it took me 3 attempts to hug you versus a bot. So you get 1,500 cookies. Congrats. Hi. There we go.
The
Yep.
trout derby. Rip. It's okay.
There you go. Who are we gonna kiss? Michigan gets the kiss. Who gets licked? Brando. And who gets splashed? Thank you. You're welcome. Random also gets splashed because it was a dirty kiss. So I just splashed you off with water. Just kidding.
It was just so much of a kiss. I just went.
That's so wrong.
No.
Do anything. I bit Michigan in the process.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
He was trying to get me under control, and I bit him for it because I was out of control. Pat, thank you for the head pat. And then who we're gonna boop? Boop Matthew on the nose. Boop. There you go.
Yeah, Mona didn't successfully splash anyone.
I don't know what I'm doing out here.
Her water gun wasn't, working.
Run.
Hide and seek, please. Probably a good idea. Probably a good idea. Let's see. Alright. I'm distributing random statues to random households. Will that be place it there? No, of course not. Put it right there. Frog statue. Yes. My favorite is these calico statues. I wouldn't know why. I wouldn't know why, but I love them. So I have to figure out where I want all these cat statues. Maybe one right there. Random cat statues. There's no rhyme or reason. They're just happening. Whose house is this? Michigan's house. Michigan gets a cat. There we go.
Well, good. About time.
And you get a Wampa statue too. Oh my god, he's huge!
Thank you.
I think it's crazy looking. I have never seen a Wampa statue. What is a Wampus? I don't even know. I don't even know
Well,
what
that
a
makes
Wampus
sense.
is.
Yeah, put it down
A
right next to
Wampus?
it.
Wait, no, I know what a wumpus is.
I don't. Okay, I'm off to have dinner with a girlfriend in a workplace. I'll chat with you guys later. Love you. Love you too, Jay. Have a good lunch. Or dinner. Yeah, dinner. Why did I say lunch? Because I blame Michigan.
Yeah.
Cheers. It's Michigan's fault.
Yeah, enjoy your thing.
Yes.
Oh,
Did you take it down?
wumbus. Yeah,
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
it's a wumbus.
Mm-hmm. Apparently. And then there we go. Those just look like they belong there. I love Junimos. They're like one of my favorite things about this game. Hi, kitty. Where can I put a Junimo? I really do love Junimos though. Oh, I know where one can go. Hiding over here. And we have another frog too. Frog is huge. What the hell? He's huge. Okay. A knight. And what else do we collect? I think that's it. Other than 5 million Junimos. Okay, so I messed that up. There we go. I think we definitely managed to do some beautification of the farm today. What do you guys think? Michigan, you guys. Why the devil horns? What are you guys up to? Everybody needs Junimos in their life. They're just so precious. Okay, so I can't place that right now because I'm being attacked. Get off me! Not allowed.
This is why you should never go outside at night.
Mm-hmm. Dangerous.
It
Don't
is.
go alone.
I can't save everybody.
Mm-hmm. Dangerous side. Just have like
feel like you're giving us like trophies, like you're the best star.
Yeah, because everybody gets stars. You get 3
You get a
stars.
star.
You get 3 stars. No, you. I love those stars. See, that frog is tiny. The other frog was like ginormous.
It's midnight.
Okay. No more Junimals.
It's midnight, so you can't go to my house and give me a star. No, just kidding.
No more Junimals. There we go. Time to sleep. Okay, that was confusing. There's a cat inside and a cat outside. I swear. He was outside, and then I went inside, and he was inside. I'm not imagining that. That just
I don't know.
that totally just happened.
I need a replay.
Imagine having light blue or pink cat ears. Like in real life, it'd be cool. Oh,
We got the mystery
look at all
boxes.
the mystery
That's a lot.
boxes have been
Holy crap,
unlocked.
that's a lot. Yeah.
Mystery boxes now can now be found. Ooh, that must have been updated. It didn't say that before. You just randomly saw the plane and them drop, and you had no clue what it was about.
Oh, you have to catch them all.
I guess there's 2 different cats. Oh, that's what it looked like for a second. You can't have multiple cats though. You can have multiple pets and a doggo. But you said light blue or pink cat ears, yeah. Now, I do have purple cat ears. Those are my traditional cat ears. I know that's not necessarily what you were talking about, but yeah, my purple cat ears. I used to start every stream with these on. Just like by default. I had my purple cat ears. And then I decided somewhere along the way it was more fun to let others pick them out for me. And so that's kind of what I did. Rain, do you need another day or are you done?
I'm kind of done.
Okay. And do this and this and this. Switch this. And that.
Oh, and it rained.
So we exited things and stuff. But yes. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching stream. I know it's kind of a short stream. I know I kind of got a late start, but I just get so into Stardew that I spent like 40 minutes preparing for this stream because I wanted it to be fun and have all kinds of fun things. When is my next stream? I don't even know. Do I have one scheduled for this Sunday? I think I'm off this Sunday. Let me look so I can tell you guys. I don't even know. I have to look at my own schedule to keep up with it sometimes. Okay, so again, no stream Sunday. Friday is golf, and then Sunday is ARC. Oh, we get ARC next Sunday for the first time ever.
Well, that
I
is
caught the
definitely
stream
an
while
arc.
I could. Thank you. I'm glad you came back, and I'm glad you were here to catch stream. Yeah, it's been a crazy month for me work-wise, so I haven't been streaming quite as much this month. Next month I feel like is probably gonna be just as wild for me, IRL. But as soon as I can, I'll come back and I'll stream some more. And I like to come in and throw in surprise streams too. But I'll definitely keep posting a schedule for you guys, so you know when I'm live. I think it's important. Sometimes I don't always do that, but I've been really good about posting a schedule, I think, for like the last since April.
Yeah, you've been
I've
doing
started.
good.
Yeah. So, I can look at your eyes and tell that you're kind of exhausted. I am really exhausted. I think a couple days this week I worked 12 hours, and it's mentally exhausting on top of that, so I would just come home, take a shower, and crash. Not even eat dinner. Just be like out, like a rock, because it's been that crazy. I do need a spa day. Thank you. I do. Totally need a spa day. Maybe. I need
You
to
need
save
to
up
do
for
it for
something
yourself.
like that. Yeah, I know. That sounds amazing. There's just like this salt spa.
They're not
and,
that
like,
bad. They're not that expensive.
Like Himalayan salt and stuff. I do appreciate the time you've taken to entertain us. Thank you. I hope you guys all are having a good Friday, and I hope you continue to have a good Friday and a good weekend. And I will see you guys next stream. Definitely Friday.
Right, yeah.
So it's gonna be golf. It's gonna be golf. It's gonna be full of shenanigans. So you know it.
I love golf shenanigans.
Golf streams I try to do like almost every other Friday because they're just everybody loves them. It's just easy. That or I'll throw in marbles. And I think we already did the marbles once, so golf is back on the table. Splits! Yakuna isn't leaving! Bye, Splits! I hope you're having a good day and hanging out, chilling. I'm sure you've been lurking silently.
We should do Cards Against Humanity.
That I would do on a Tuesday night in Discord. Totally. Funny
yes.
you mentioned that. I'm actually going parallel to go hang out with some friends and play Cards Against Humanity tomorrow.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's in this moment.
Hi, Splits. But yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun time.
Quite a bit.
But yeah, we'll have to schedule that. We'll have to schedule a Tuesday. I'll put that on my next schedule. When I do a schedule for July, I'm gonna schedule a community Discord only Cards Against Humanity night. I don't really want to stream that because that gets it's all the boxes of things you shouldn't say. You know, I've streamed it live once, and then I was like, no. This is a Discord only game because just nobody needs to be clipping that. If you're offended, you can leave, and I totally get it because that's just the type of game Cards Against Humanity is. I'm not even gonna ask. Yeah, right. There was a blank in the blank. Oh, I love those. Have you guys seen those Instagram reels where there's like a guy playing Cards Against Humanity and he lets the cat pick like the fill in the blank part?
Pick the cards, yeah, that's funny.
It's so cute. The cat picks it out. He gives cat paws. Because he'll lay out like a row of cards and the kitty will paw at one and then that's like his answer. So he plays Cards Against Humanity with his cat and it's so cute.
Yes, I love that cat.
Yes, it's adorable. I need a cat. Anyway,
You need a cat. Wow.
I know. Anyway, I will catch you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out on stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you for lurking, listening, and supporting my stream. And I will see you guys definitely Friday. Good night, all. Say good night. Voice chat to chat.
Good night, voice chat to chat.
Did you see my response, Splints?
Cow
my response.
sausage?
There was a cow in the sausage.
Sausage?
That's like a beef sausage then, right? Not a pork sausage, just a beef sausage.
It's not Italian.
Imagine living in a world where cats could talk to humans. Oh, that would be so cute. Other than cats would be totally rude, I bet. And dogs would be
No, my cat would be like, I'm leaving.
Cats would be like saying the rudest things to us humans, and dogs would just be like,
I mean,
I love
have
you.
y'all ever
I
read
love
Garfield?
you. I love you. And you'd be like, shut up. You'd be like so tired of hearing it. From the
I'm
dog.
not comfortable with the amount of times I would hear fuck off. I love you, I love you, I love you. Fuck off.
And the cat would be like,
Hey, man.
I don't want to be petted right now, but I want to be petted right now.
Why have you not fed me?
Right?
You know, it's like,
Why have you changed my little box?
I saw this reel the other day about this cat. It's like from my cat's perspective, and it's like I own a house, 2 cars, and 2 servants. You know, like that's the cat. Like, yeah, that's totally a cat. We don't own that thing with us, so. But I love cats. They're so.
That sounds like a Nickelodeon show. That's totally cat.
That's totally.
Meow.
Again, good night, all. Thank you for
Love you,
being
Uncle.
here.
Bye-bye.
See you guys next stream.